Joining me now to discuss all of this on set is Florida Republican Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar. Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure always. Great to be with you.
Appreciate having you here on set. Let's start right there. So Republicans in the Senate did pass this budget resolution that would effectively fund ICE and Border Patrol. Will you vote yes on this measure?
Well, I'm going to review the first step, which is what we're going to be receiving probably on Monday. We start working. Tuesday is the first full day, so we're going to be reviewing it. But I'm sure that we have to reach an agreement, and we have to fund ICE and DHS, ICE, and Border Patrol.
Do you have any issues with going around Democrats, basically doing this through reconciliation, this term here in Washington, which allows you to do it with only Republicans?
No,
support?
not only on this topic. Not only on this topic. We should be working together. We should be working closer on immigration, which, you know, it's my space, is my lane. I think we should be doing, but it's sometimes they're reticent and sometimes they don't like working with us. So we got to change the whole environment. And I am really trying to see if I could do that by myself and on my own within the GOP, trying to work with my colleagues and with the Dems and solve the immigration problem, because this is just a little patch, that was a little Band-Aid that we're putting on a very big wound that started 40 years ago.
Well, to that point, you are promoting your bill called the Dignity Act.
It's the only bill that there is that covers immigration reform in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. Well, no one wants to talk about this topic, but it's the economy and immigration are the two most important topics for the American people. And you know something? The division on immigration is only in Washington. Americans have settled the issue. 83% of Americans believe that we have to give some type of permanent legal permit so those people can continue working. So no path to citizenship. Just let them stay, work, pay taxes.
And yet some conservatives in your conference, Texas Congressman Brandon Gill, for example, says that this bill is, quote, a betrayal of the values we ran on last election cycle. We ran on mass deportations. We said we're going to do that, so we should.
I met with him for an hour. I went to his office because I think.
How do you convince him? How do you get him on board?
Well, I mean, let's start talking. And he was very nice. I was in his office for 1 hour a couple of days ago, and I explained to him what I'm explaining to you and to the American people and to my Republican Party. Wake up. Okay, the Dignity Bill, which is the one that I wrote years ago, covers everything that President Trump promised in his campaign. 3 things. Secure a border. The border is secured. Let's do a biggest mass deportation. You can deport everyone who came in through Biden in those caravans that were terrible. And because remember, the Dems have made a lot of mistakes, too. So do no more caravans. Deport them or remove them from the country. Tell them they're not welcomed anymore. And number 3, kick out the bad hombres. So that's what I think ICE should be doing. The illegals with criminal records out. What do you do with arrest? The people who are in construction, hospitality, agricultural, healthcare, and manufacturing. I just had I can speak until tomorrow. I just had a big press conference with the National Association of Manufacturers, 10% of the economy. Jay Timmons, he was next to me saying, hey, we need hands.
Yeah. Do you think, though, that you won him over, first of all? And do you think you're going to get enough support to actually pass this? Is he now a yes, or is he still a no?
If my colleagues on the right within the GOP, whom I respect and I believe that they have the right to speak, do not understand that President Trump, within the next 3 years, could be for immigration what Lincoln was for slavery. He's the only guy, Republicans, Democrats, in the last 40 years who's dared to do things like Iran and Venezuela and now Cuba. If he doesn't say, OK, it's time to fix immigration, then we will lose, the GOP will lose that coalition of Hispanics who put President Trump in the White House, and then we will lose them forever. And then the Dems will make everyone citizen.
Well, you take me to my next question, because we've got some new polling that shows the president has lost major ground with key parts of his 2024 coalition, including Hispanic voters. His approval rating there has dropped 24 points. Look at this. Young adults, men, you see that dropped.
It's embarrassing.
So is that, how concerned are you about those numbers?
I'm very concerned because one out of two Hispanics in 2024 voted for President Trump.
Yeah.
And I am happy with that because he promised that he was going to kick out, he was going to do the biggest mass deportation, and he was going to remove the illegals who have criminal records. Criminal record. And that did not happen for whatever reason. Now is time for him to send the message, all right, we want to keep the Hispanics as part of the GOP family. Why don't we then do something that is dignifying, which is the dignity legislation. It does not have path to citizenship. Never path. If you have a criminal record, no way. If you've been here for more than 5 years, so it does not cover those who came in under Biden. Hey, it's Solomonic. You know, in Solomon, like in the Bible, that you cut the baby into two. That's exactly what I'm doing. I got the baby and I cut it into two.
So that's a very powerful metaphor.
Well, think about it. You know,
but
I'm trying to please both sides, and I think we were able to accomplish it.
let me ask you about another big fight that's playing out across the country, redistricting. It now heads to Florida, your state. As you know, Governor Ron DeSantis poised to hold a special session next week to try to get this passed. Do you think that politically that's the best move here? Because even if he's successful, you only net a couple of seats.
Look, I may be at a disadvantage because my lines in district number 27 in the state of Florida may be moved, but there's nothing I can do about it. And I always look at the bright side. This is American democracy. This is the American electoral system. It's not perfect, but I mean, we know the one in Venezuela and Cuba and Iran. I like what we see. It's not perfect, and there's nothing I can do about it. I cannot call DeSantis and say, hey, don't move my lines.
Well, but can you? I mean,
I cannot.
Does redistricting make the democracy stronger or weaker, do you think?
You know, at the end, people will vote regardless of what district they live in. They're going to vote for the candidate that they like, and that's what I love about the American system, because people can vote to their conscience.
I have to ask you very quickly about Cuba. A State Department official does confirm to NBC News that a delegation met with Cuban government officials last week to advance diplomatic talks. Do you think it's possible to get a deal with Cuba at this point?
Well, you went and you interviewed them. The problem with them is that for 65 years, they have been in the business of power. And they have always been able to finagle and move around and convince 10 different administrations, Republicans and Democrats, up until they got Donald Trump. That's why I'm saying Trump is the man for many different instances. And I am sure that they have not read the memo, but they will, because they are hanging by a thread. They don't have Russia. They don't have Venezuela. They don't have resources.
Is there a diplomatic route with this government, or do you think there needs to be a military option?
It depends. It depends on the Cubans. And reality is that they are talking to people who have the Castro blood in their veins. The grandson and the son. They're not talking to Diaz-Canel. Diaz-Canel is just a puppet, and he knows it. And he told you, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, look at Maduro. Look where Maduro is at now. And he said the same thing. So Cuba, what a great story. I represent the largest Cuban exile community in the country. So we thank him. It will be a glorious day for the Western Hemisphere and for the United States. We will be Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and we'll be the #1 friend of the United States in the Caribbean.
Well, we'll continue to track it so closely. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your time.
Salazar, really appreciate it.